Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. So we are on chapter 10 of Bhagavad Gita. Last time we did verse 37. And the English translation for that is, among the Vrishnis, I am Vasudeva. He's talking about himself. Then his clan, he is the Vibhuti. Among the Pandavas, I am Dhananjaya. He's talking about Arjuna. And among the Munis, I am Vyasa, the one who wrote Mahabharata and also compiled all these things, Bhagavad Gita. So he's a Vibhuti. And among the poets, I am Ushna, the great seer. This is Shukracharya, gurus of the Daityas. So with that, we go to the next one. Verse 38. Dando damayatam asmi nitirasmi jigishatam maunam chaivasmi guhyanam jnanam jnanavatamaham. Danda, the scepter. And this is like with the authority when somebody holds a danda. That's what, and we'll go more into it. When somebody is given a power to punish, that's what it is. Damayatam, among the punishers. Nothing negative about it, we will see. Asmi, I am. So I am that danda among all the punishers. That's what Bhagavan is saying. Niti. Niti, this is also a very loaded word and we will go more into it. Statesmanship. Policy जिसको बोलते हैं, you know, that's what it is. Asmi, I am. Jigi shatam, among those who seek victory, जिनको विजय प्राप्त करनी है, उसमें I am this niti or statesmanship. Maunam, I am silence. Cha and eva is also asmi. I am silence among guhyanam, among secrets. It's a very deep subject now. You're going more subtle and subtle. And among jnanam, the knowledge, jnanavatam, among the knowers. So I am knowledge among the knowers. So let's see now. We'll open up all these. So Bhagavan starts with danda damayatam asmi. Damayata means those who control or those which discipline. Or that you can say that which brings order in the society or in life, you know. So that's, I am danda. So what is danda? Danda is representing punishment, rod of discipline, law enforcement. And you know, India में वो पुलिस होते थे ना, डंडा लेके जाते थे. यहाँ मतलब यहाँ पर तो गन वन लेके जाते हैं, वहाँ पर उनको नहीं होते थे. Guns only the inspectors had it, but it was police, it was डंडा. और हम लोग ऐसे जैसे टीचर का डंडा हो या पुलिस का डंडा बोलते ना, एक डंडा पड़ेगा सर अकल ठिकाने आ जाएगी. डोंट बी से बोलते हैं हम लोग. आजकल तो कुछ नहीं कर सकते ऐसा, यू नो. आई मीन पुलिस कैन स्टिल डू इट, बट others, teachers and all cannot do it. But now you know what I'm talking about. Same generation. So what is it? Those who can subdue the unruly ones, you know, give them punishment. And the punishment, it's not like marna shuru kar diya or anything. The punishment has to be just. Obviously, when here we are talking about in Bhagavad Gita, the punishment with justice or discipline with justice. That's a very important thing. And then personally, how we have to look at it, because it's like, okay, you know, I'm a very good person. I don't need any danda. We'll say that, right? Hame kya zarurat hai dande ki? So it is danda for ourselves in a sense that we need to be disciplined ourselves. You know, like yam, niyam and all. We saw that in all those things, that how should we be disciplined. So ethical guardrails, jisko bolte hain, that's the way we have to look at the danda. And then you must have heard of this saying in Hindi ki किसी भी तरह से उसको मनाओ, साम दाम दंड भेद, सुना है कि नहीं? उसमें भी वही दंड का मतलब वैसे ही है. So how Nikhilanand explained, very interesting. He's saying without that dand, we cannot discipline ourselves or others also. And उसका evidence हाथ में होता है कि there has to be some fear of punishment. Okay? And that punishment is that danda represented over here. दंड जिसको बोला है. And दंड का दो मीनिंग होता है. वो डंडा भी है और दंड means punishment also. We know in Hindi, दंड. So we cannot control people who are wild. So he was just saying that intelligent people, Siddha people, you don't need any danda vanda. They will follow the rules. Then nothing is required. But if you want to bring discipline in the society, in the home or in the organization or in the country, you need fear of punishment. Right? उसके बिना नहीं तो सब चलता है. I mean, in India, I'm from Mumbai, so usually people follow traffic rules. But when I used to go to other cities, red light पे jump कर रहे सभी लोग, because there was no fear. But once they start ticketing you and all that, here nobody does, because we know if we get a police thing, हमारा insurance बढ़ जाएगा, ये हो जाएगा, driver license भी छीन लिया जाएगा, that kind of thing. So people behave nicely. And then he was just saying that there are some countries, like Singapore and all that, you drop anything on the floor, they will immediately catch you, because they have all these cameras, this, that. And then he's saying that लोग वहाँ जाके ना टेढ़े लोग भी सीधे हो जाते हैं. They will do कुछ चॉकलेट खाएंगे तो रैपर को पॉकेट में रख देंगे. और he's from दिल्ली, Nikhilanand ji. So he's saying दिल्ली में आएंगे ना तो फिर कार से बाहर फेंक देंगे. फियर ही नहीं है, चलता है, सब अपना ही घर है. You know what I mean. So that's what it is. That's why you need that dand. And what is the deeper explanation of this dand? Because we are doing Geeta. It is not merely a punishment and all that. A principle of justice is telling over here. To discipline the unrighteous people. That's what it is. Because they are the one who create like havoc in the society. So what Krishna is implying, that I am the very principle by which order is maintained. So that's how we have to go deeper into this. And some of the great acharyas and all, like Shankaracharya, is saying that dand is a righteous punishment, free from cruelty, and ensuring dharma is upheld. यानी कि ऐਵੇਂ किसी को पिटाई हो रही है, not like that, So we know that. And in here also they have human rights and all that. It's for that purpose only, to keep that balance, that you need the dand, but it should not go the other way. So it is like a restraint rooted in dharma. That's the final take on the dand over here. Okay. And then next is Niti Rasmi Jiki Shatam. So now dand is according to Nikhilanand ji, like a lower level. If you want to go a little higher, subtler level, so those who become victorious, Jigi Shatam means those desire victory or become victorious. So Bhagwan says, among those people, I am Niti. What does Niti mean? Niti means a good policy, good strategy. Like जैसे बोलते हैं ना हिंदी में word है राजनीति, सुना होगा, So political policies. Then it can be ethics and all of that comes under Niti. So if you go just the word meaning of Niti, it's policy, ethics, right conduct, justice, strategy guided by dharma. All these things come, a righteous statesmanship. And Jigisha, we already said that among those who desire victory, rulers and conquerors. They rulers and conquerors होते हैं, वो जाके किसी को rule कर दिया, जब तक उसके दिल पे राज नहीं होएगा कुछ नहीं हो सकता, सुना है. और जब तक मतलब if they want to become true rulers, they have to have good statesmanship or good niti. From there it's coming. So he's just saying that Krishna is the wisdom of governance that leads to true victory. Otherwise it's just a dikhawa, So that's what it is, or ethical statecraft they call it. And then in Indian scriptures and all, dharm shastra and अर्थ शास्त्र में ना एक वर्ड यूज किया है दंड नीति. आई डोंट नो, जो हिंदी जानते हैं उनको पता ये इसकी दंड नीति है, तो उसको देखो डंडा और नीति को कंबाइन किया है, डिसिप्लिन और स्टेटमैनशिप, एंड दिस इज ऑल कमिंग फ्रॉम भगवद गीता. And then if we go a little deeper into it, that Shankaracharya ji in Advaita Vedanta, he's saying that it is the right policy. Justice aligned with strategy. That's what it is. Sattvic intelligence behind true success. That's what all these things that we have to think about. And for personal stuff, hey, how do I take from there? That Bhagavan has used the word buddhi yoga. I mean, choosing means and ends which are aligned with dharma. I mean, our own policy, how I should have it, वो भी हम लोग को देखना चाहिए. And then Nikhilanand ji had few more insights into it. He said that good policy we need to have in our own life also, in the society also, in the world also. Everywhere this applies. And then he's saying that if we have a systematic and proper policy, then we can become victorious in all fields. How do we? Because victory is not just conquering some country or conquering some area, but it is a victory in our life, in all different aspects of it. That's how we have to look at it. And then he was just saying that even in our lives, we don't just lead our life ऐसे, जी लिया ऐसे कुछ नहीं, but we have to have a proper policy and how you want to make best use of our life. That's what we need to do. And so some niti should be there. And then Bhagwan has used this word niti twice in Bhagavad Gita. Very interesting. One is right here when he said, I am niti among the people who desire victory. But in the last verse of Gita, whoever studies Bhagavad Gita, this word comes. And what is the last word? Shloka of Bhagavad Gita. It says, Yatra Yogeshvara Krishna, Yatra Partho Dhanurdhara, Tatra Shri Vijayo Bhuti, Dhruva Niti Matir Mama. He said Dhruva Niti. So what does it mean, this verse? It means wherever there is Arjuna and wherever there is Krishna together, there will be victory, prosperity, growth, and good policy. So how important it is, the last verse has this niti word. So that's why I wanted to bring that up. So what does it mean that we should have both Krishna and Arjuna in life? So Nikhilanandji explained. He's saying that Arjuna represents the outer discipline, okay, material prosperity. And Krishna represents the inner spiritual beauty, spiritual strength. So we need to have a combination. So we should have both spirituality and materialistic vision. They should be united properly in good harmony. That's what is the message here in Bhagavad Gita. One of the messages that individually we need to be prosperous, and the society also should be prosperous. So that's why we always say we are doing. We finished Taittiriya Upanishad, and in that material prosperity was mentioned the whole time. ये नहीं कि कोई भूखा नंगा साधु बैठा हो. They don't want that. They want everybody to be prosperous, okay, like that. So if suppose, he was just giving an example. If we try to keep Krishna away and only focus on Arjuna, means, materialism. He's just trying to give an example. That will not help. And if we neglect Arjuna and only Krishna, you go, means only spiritual, that also won't be help. They have to go hand in hand, because what can happen, that if spirituality is removed from materialism, that can become harmful. Because a person will start doing atrocities, not rooted in something spiritual and good. And then that's what sometimes in the world, when we see all these bad things happening, all these people who have become like terrorists or dictators and all that, they're not rooted in spirituality. So then it can do more harm in the world. So it can destroy the world, basically, if you just only materialism you go to. And then if suppose spirituality without materialism, you only focus on spiritual sum and completely let go of material thing, that will make you poor and hungry, and that is also not proper. And that's why Vivekananda, when he came over here, because he was so disturbed by the poverty in India, his own family suffered all that in the beginning. And then he came here and he wanted to combine the East and West, because he said that the West has all the material prosperity, which we didn't have it at that time. Thank God it's changing now in India. And then we had the spiritual stuff, and these guys didn't have that. So it was like combining the two, get the best of the both worlds. So that's what they're talking about. And that's the final message of Geeta also. So that's why they should be in harmony. That's where the word niti is so important. And good niti, all-round victory, that will give us all-round victory. That's what Nikhilanandji was saying, that, good policy and Arjuna and Krishna together. So and the other way to look at some of the people who mentioned, what is this verse saying? That it is not a mere conquest, but a righteous rule. If we're talking about statesmanship or what kind of victory is a real victory, so righteous rule is a victory. And then Ramanujji said that Krishna, he sees Krishna as a righteous authority behind discipline and governance, because the danda and niti, right? So discipline and governance mein Krishna ki vibhuti hoti hai. And then he also said that the dand and good niti as a divine excellence, assisting what? Dharma rajya, जब बोलते हैं राम राज्य जिसको बोलते हैं, उसमें ये दोनों चीजें होती है. So those are the different things. And then there are some other things, that victory of the right things. Victory, when we talking about victory, not just victory of the land or something, not mere conquest, but victory, this statesmanship or niti, it is like Krishna is an ethical intelligence. When you are using your intelligence for dharma, by noble means and noble ends. So he's saying, okay, now we have talked all about it. How can I bring this to my life? He was one of the example, and that will, kind of give you a clue that how we can use good policy. He's saying, suppose that you are in a debate or in a case or a project or something, and you want to win in that. So let your strategy be truthful, fair, and far-sighted. Ki by hook or crook I have to win this. We saw that different kind of debates, right? The best part was when you have a respect for each other. So that's how this good policy we can take in our life. Otherwise what will happen is, even if you win, your victory will be contaminated. You won by some foul means. So let it be fair and all that. That's a good statesmanship in our life. That's how it is. Okay. And the next one, he says, Maunam Chaivasmi Guhyanam. So this is a little subtle thing. We'll try to understand. Bhagwan says, and among all secrets, I am the silence. Okay, how deep this can be. That the ability to keep secret is when we are silent, And so maun means what? Silence. But if you open the word maun, it restrained in speech. बोलते हैं ना कि कोई लेडीज होती है, बोलते हैं कि जब तक मैं किसी को बताऊं नहीं, मेरे पेट में दर्द होता रहता है. I have to say gossiping and all. Anyway, I'm just bringing some joke over here. So Guhya Naam can be secret, mysteries, whichever way. And then Swamiji's, Nikhilanandji was very funny. He said that sometimes people come to me and say, Swamiji, I want to tell you a secret. Please don't tell anybody. So he's saying the very fact that you're opening your mouth is no longer a secret. So people say, don't tell anybody. And then that person will go and tell somebody, don't tell anybody. Before you know it, there's a news everywhere. So secret is one that you don't tell anybody. It remains in the heart. That's called monam. And then when Bhagwan says that I am the secret, among the secret I am monam, what did he mean? So anyway, he actually said a joke. I'll tell you this joke. He's saying that you think that a person is very intelligent, because he's quiet, you think he's very intelligent. Moment he opens his mouth, you say, oh my God, I had a wrong idea about this person. This is just a joke. Okay, so, but anyway, coming back to our subject, silence is the greatest in secret. Now, in the spiritual life, how do we understand this monam in the spiritual life? Because it takes a different take in there. That silence is the one that protects the truth. How? That because sometimes, if you tell somebody who is not prepared to listen, what is the real truth? Hey, I am not the body, I'm not this, I'm the Atma and Brahman and all those things that we are learning in Vedanta. If you are not kind of ready to listen to that, if you have not done some other practices, it will be a disaster for people, right? So it's better to keep quiet than revealing profound knowledge to an unprepared. Sometimes with our enthusiasm, we want to go and start preaching to everybody, our family members, our this, and then they may not be ready. They might get more upset and angry if you start saying all those things. So that's why this is where the silence for us comes in. And then in our Eastern traditions, there are teaching by silence. You've heard of that, right? Ramana Maharishi was one of the modern saints, but I don't know if you've heard of a deity called Dakshinamurti. We are in our Chinmaya mission, our Acharya, she has kept a murti of Dakshina. So that's a symbolic. And Dakshinamurti is a silent instruction. He doesn't talk, but everything is revealed by silence, So, and Madhusudan Saraswati, he says that maunam or silence is that one guards all these esoteric truths, that's how it is. And so maunam is the inner quietude. That's what, if we have to translate into our language here, what does maunam mean? Inner quietude. And then some deeper insights into maunam. So you think that of all ways of dealing with the secret, don't tell anybody this and that, maunam is the most supreme. That we know. There is no two ways about it. But like we saw before, maunam safeguards and prevents harm from premature disclosure. If you tell somebody when they are not ready to listen something, if you keep silent, and in the arguments also, there's two people are having a very bad argument and not getting anywhere, one person becomes silent, the argument ends. But there are other ways also we can see it. And then on a subtler plane, the highest teaching shines in silence. How does that happen? When the mind is quiet, that's when the self becomes evident, right? All the practice, if you see, in the meditation or whatever it is, they tell you, stop your, kind of thoughts. When somebody says, I'm very silent, I'm very maun, andar tufan chal raha ho, that's not called silence. That's why inner silence is very important. So silencing it is the one that in the end gives you that experience of Brahman. That's why this Bhagwan said, I'm mauna. Okay? And then we saw that in chapter 9, Bhagwan started with this knowledge as a guhyanam knowledge, secret knowledge. This knowledge of Brahman is a secret knowledge. Not don't tell anybody kind of secret, but not everybody can understand kind of secret. That's why the beauty of Maunam comes in. And then how do we practice Maunam in our life? It's called Vak Tapas. Vak Tapas means speech ka tapas. There's like they have in English also a saying, I think, if you don't have anything good to say about a person, don't say anything. Don't they say that? So that's what it is. Be quiet. So speak only what is true, kind, and timely, or stay silent. And I think it was Buddha who said, speak only if you can improve upon the silence. That is a best statement, Otherwise, unnecessarily, we don't need to talk. So that's why. So what is it that this silence, until the right context and the audience is ready, silence is the one that guards, in all your knowledge. So that's what it is. The silence is and knowledge. What is the relationship of it? That you only speak, you may know a lot of things, and it is very good to share, because we saw in Taittiriya, again and again it said, go and preach to the rest of the world. But the audience has to be ready too. Otherwise it'll go, all wrong. And then some deeper things in there. The Shankaracharya ji, what did he say? The silence is the silence of the knower, where teaching is by just presence of that person. That how we were talking about that Dakshinamurti or how some saints and sages, their silence speaks louder than anything else. When you sit in their company and you have questions and you kind of quieten yourself, there is some kind of a connection happens and you get the answer. That's what Shankaracharya was saying, that just by presence you can have the teaching. And then what did Madhusudan Saraswati ji said? He says that Maun is guarding the mystery until until disciples are adhikari. What does that mean? When the disciples become qualified to listen, until then the Maun guards these mysteries. Same thing, okay? They are just saying the same thing, what we have talked about, but they have saying in their own words that when Bhagwan said that this knowledge is like a secret, is that secret also need to be guarded so it doesn't do any harm, doesn't do anything powerful can be harmful if you don't handle it correctly. That's why it's saying that until the student becomes adhikari, you don't say it. That's what he was saying. And then obviously we saw that what Buddha said. It says that choose maunam when speech won't help. We know that. That's the final take for us. Okay, well, how do I practice in my life? Just if my speech is not helping anybody, just shut up, like they say in English. Crude way of saying be maun. So these were the Guhyanam Maunam. The last one now. It says Jnanam Jnanavatamaham. So this is also a slightly, we have to go understand deeply. So in the simple words, what is saying, among those who are wise or those who are knowledgeable, I am that knowledge. That's what Bhagwan said. So when we are talking about knowledge, he's not talking about the worldly knowledge or just merely collecting data or something like that. He's talking about, wisdom or insight into something. Because when it comes to knowledge, with the WhatsApp and ChatGPT and there are 10 different artificial intelligence apps that have come. And my boys keep telling me, oh, mom, this one has come, that one has come. They have put 3-4 apps in my phone. I don't even use it. I'm just satisfied with one. So when it comes to information, there is no limit. That's not what he's talking about over here. Wisdom he's talking about. He's saying that wisdom is my vibhuti. Okay? And so how Nikrananji explained that being wise is very important. Because if knowledge is not accompanied by wisdom, then there will be a problem. And what does wisdom do? It gives us the ability to use that knowledge properly. Because in Bhagavad Gita, they have used the word jnanam and vijnanam, right? So jnanam is just the pure knowledge, worldly knowledge or whatever, just information, that's the better way to it. And vijnanam is when it has become deep inside me and I understand it so well and I know how to use it. So that's why, focus on that when Bhagwan is saying this. Why? Because knowledge by itself can again become harmful, okay? If it's not converted into... We know that some people who are very, very knowledgeable, but they use it for harmful means. They harm themselves and they harm other people and harm people around them, harm the world. And in our Shastras or our history, the best example is Ravan. He was the most knowledgeable. सारे चारों वेदों का ज्ञाता और उन्होंने तो वो भी लिखा है, वो शिव तांडव स्तोत्र लिखा है, सब कितना सुंदर स्तोत्र लिखा हुआ है उन्होंने शिवा के ऊपर, रावण. Very knowledgeable. But he proved not to be so wise because he suffered in his life. His family suffered, he suffered because he didn't make it into a wisdom. So that's what, I thought that was a very important thing he's saying. So how to handle the knowledge, that's what it is. And then he was just saying that in this context, knowledge is power. Okay? And that's why we should know how to use it. That's why it's a very powerful thing. And that is Bhagwan's Vibhuti, Krishna's Vibhuti. And then going deeper into this, what knowledge is talking about, obviously the self-knowledge. Okay? That Krishna is present in us, in all of us, and that is a self-knowledge. So it's like God's nature. We say, na, pure knowledge is that Bhagwan's nature. And that is who cannot connect with that pure knowledge? The devotees, the people who do the sadhana and all that. In the end, Bhagwan gives you buddhi yoga, and then you realize your own nature. True knowledge is that. So that is the deeper significance. So Krishna itself is the knowledge in the wise. And the other way of looking at it, like our teacher used to say, that the pure knowledge is that light by which we know other things. We have the ability, we say consciousness. I am conscious of something, means that consciousness is giving that power to me to understand the world also. So that is the way we go all the way deep into it, So we can say that the self-knowledge is recognition of awareness in our own knowledge, nature. That's what, awareness. And then, and what is the practical application of this? That our study should culminate into clarity, humility, and freedom from sorrow. Like you say, okay, I've got these, degrees, I have this knowledge, I have that knowledge. What are you using that for? Are you becoming more arrogant? Then that knowledge is useless. So that, and are you getting more confused? So you have heard of it, that sometimes even the scientists sometimes will say that the more I'm doing, the more confused I am. I don't know. So it should give you a little more clarity and humility and freedom from sorrow. If we are not using it for that purpose, and that's why that Sadhguru always says inner engineering. God has given all this equipment. Intelligence is one of them. But in today's world, a lot of people are using intelligence in the wrong way and they get very, very dukhi. You don't want that. You want, God has given you this ability, for make it good use of it. And then another way of looking at it is that obviously that when Bhagwan is talking about knowledge of it, not bookish knowledge, Brahma Gyan. The highest Vibhuti is Brahma Gyan. And then according to Ramanuj, because he's into the Bhakti Marg, that Gyan is God, he granted wisdom to the devotees. With our sadhana, he gives wisdom. And what did Madhusudan Saraswati say? Gyan is Brahma Gyan. All of them are saying, all the saints are saying the same thing. And he's saying that knowledge is the crown of Vibhuti in the wise. Highest form of knowledge is that Brahma Gyan. And then in our life, how do we practice? That, okay, now we heard all these things, that we should use Vivek. Remember, we have a Vivek Janya Buddhi, they call it, discrimination or discernment. About what? Self and non-self. That will lead to the Gyan that they are talking about, the Bhagwan is talking about over here. That is the highest one. So if we summarize the whole thing, that here in this verse, Krishna is declaring that he is in justice, righteous policy, holy silence, and true knowledge. That's where his presence is. And then his divinity pervades law, politics, secrecy, and wisdom. Those are the 4 things he talked about over here. So that is this verse. Any question or comment on these 4 things?
Yeah, in my book it says the danda means also the spine.
So interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's also that you go inward, spiritual inwards, and then see, control your senses. Yeah. And then so that's why then you can become more spiritual and more.
Yeah. So your book
and
is
also, they also say about karma. The karma, the fear that you get is also because they're saying, oh, itna ganda आदमी है, is doing उसको कुछ punishment में मिल रहा in the outward world में, he's doing all the wrong things and वो तो victorious होता जा रहा है, but it's not that. Outwardly you may be victorious, but ultimately in the next life you're going to be, this whatever good deeds you're getting now is because of your past life, but you will be punished later on.
Yep.
So it's not that you just can't be doing only bad things. Your karma will catch up with you. So they talked about a little bit of karma also.
No, good, very good. Those are very good points. So whoever doesn't know, I think this is Yoganandaji's Geeta, right? That you're reading, Sneha?
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yes.
so he has, his own way of explaining, and those are very good points. Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah. Anybody else has any other comment from other sources? Because this is like a Mahasagar, you can see so many different angles, and all are very good. Yeah. Okay, so who's any volunteers to read? Meeraji, are you up to reading today?
Yes, absolutely. But if anybody else would like to read, that's fine too, before, I mean,
That's
I
fine.
can read. I'll be very happy to read, but
That's fine. Go ahead, Meeraji.
should I? Okay. Among punishers, I am the scepter. Among those who seek victory, I am statesmanship. And also among secrets, I am silence. And I am the knowledge among knowers. Of the chastisers, I am the scepter. The ruler and the ruled must be the relationship in all organizations like the state if they desire progressively to push ahead the standard of living in the various communities. This lawgiver must see that he governs them by enforcing the laws. In this function of the government, the governor will, of necessity, become the punisher of the unsocial members of the community who are tempted in their selfishness to disobey the existing laws in the community. The ruled, in their loyalty and reverence to the existing laws, generally succumb to the punishments meted out to them by their rulers. But, in fact, who is that which really gives the powers to the king or the president to punish the misbehaving individuals? After all, in modern states, the individuals have no right to take the law into their own hands.
So Swamiji is just explaining that when Bhagwan said that when I'm the danda among those people, that power is coming from something higher, and that in the society also, not everybody can punish everybody, right? We have to approach the law, and these lawgivers are the one who are like respecting that law of that land, and then they have the ability to punish. That's the point he's trying to make in this. And then he will explain the next paragraph what it means, that power.
The king wields the scepter, which is the symbol of his power to punish. To the president in a democratic institution, the sanction to punish is given by the popular will. In the policeman or on the corner of the street, the power to arrest is attached to his uniform. A king devoid of his scepter, a president who has been thrown out, or a dismissed policeman who has not the uniform, none of them has any longer the powers to chastise the wicked. Naturally, therefore, of all those who punish, the Lord says, I am the scepter. Without the symbol of the social sanction to do so, no individual in the community has any right over the others. After all, be he a king or a president, be he a policeman or a judge, all of them are in themselves only members of the community, but they play the part of guarding the security of the community because of the special privileges they possess due to the status of their office.
So now everybody understood what that danda represents. It represents power. It's been given by some higher authority, and in the democratic thing, it's a will of the people. Because of the voting and all that, who are the majority of the people who give you that authority. And that's why they have, uska jo power le liya, to uska danda koi kaam ka nahi hai. Koi bhi danda leke wo nahi khada ho sakta. This has been given to him. And we saw कि जब पुलिस के हाथ में कुछ डंडा वंडा होता है, गन होता है, then we know that, hey, he can use it for something. If he doesn't have a uniform, we are not scared of anybody's danda. They say, we will get you in trouble. So that authority has been given by higher power. Highest is Bhagwan. That's how we look at it.
Yeah. So that the danda has permanent power, and everybody else, king hai, policeman hai, president जो भी है, वो तो बदल सकता है, कुछ भी हो सकता है, लेकिन जो डंडा है उसमें असली पावर है. That is why God says I am.
Yes, absolutely. You explained it very well. Absolutely. And then वो पुराने जमाने में वो राजा के हाथ में देते होंगे वो ये scepter जो भी बोला है उन्होंने. अभी आजकल we don't have that kind of thing, but उनके वो सारे symbols वगैरह हैं. Crown is another thing, that's why they used to wear the crown, because that crown represents the power.
Yeah. Of conquerors.
Sorry.
Yeah,
go ahead.
मोदी ने भी है ना धर्म का जो अपने साधु संत भी होते हैं वो हमेशा एक डंडा लेकर चलते हैं.
Interesting.
The Lok Sabha also, or I think the Parliament, Modi, it was a silver or gold rod that they put it to establish the dharma and the power and all that. In the Parliament, there's a big controversy also about it.
Yeah, I think that people, if they don't understand the symbol behind it, then they will do a lot of halla gulla. But if you know the symbol behind it, it doesn't belong to, like Meeraji was saying, it is, things can change, but that represent the power of that particular organization, Yeah.
Of conquerors, I am the statecraft. That a mere physical conquest is no victory at all is the repeated declaration of all history textbooks. No nation, community, society, or individual can, in fact, be considered as having conquered merely because of the force that has smothered their enemy or because of the might that is standing guard over them. A conquest of a community can be complete only when the conqueror has, through the intelligent administrative policies, brought the conquered to identify their culture and thought patterns with those of his own. If the conquerors are not capable of thus converting the conquered or getting themselves converted to the cultural values of the conquered, the conquest is never complete. This is an open secret to every student of history. After the military conquest, through statesmanship alone can the real baptism come, and this alone can bring the conquered permanently under the will of the conqueror.
So, Swamiji explained it very beautifully. He's just saying that if you just conquer somebody, it doesn't mean much. The real victory is when that person gets assimilated with you, together. And then, so that's why you have to have a proper policy and all that. And if you see history of India, that's why it's a melting pot of all the religions and everything, how they handled different people. There was a whole story of how these Parsis ended up and Gujarat coast, and they were being prosecuted for their religion. And the king of the Gujarat said, you can live over here, no problem. We'll let you practice exactly what you want. But तुम्हारा जो पहनना और भाषा और खाना पीना हमारे साथ जैसा करो. And that's why the Parsis, they speak Gujarati. They wear the Gujarati type of saris and all, and they eat the similar food, whatever. But they practice their own religion. So that was a good policy that assimilated them in India. So this was a perfect example that the king or the authorities have to be very smart, help people also, and kind of assimilate them with you, so that they all feel in harmony. You have a question, Meena ji?
No, I just wanted to know if I should start reading.
No, I think Meena ji has a question.
I just had a question. I know what you're saying is right, but you have to see who is saying that. Who's the person, who's the authority. At this point, currently, what's going on, you cannot say that. Right?
They are talking about a good policy is not like a fixed policy. When Bhagwan says niti, it has to be just, it has to be helpful, it has to be progress. Yes. And so that is a given. When we come to Bhagavad Gita, we are not saying, just conquer somebody. Hey, there is some circumstances are there. For example, in olden days, they had something called Rajasuya Yagya and all that. If you only look at the surface, it looks like they are just conquering the people. But they were trying to unite people because those small rajas, but they were not maintaining their stuff properly. They were not. So if there is some good king like Yudhishthir who can manage everybody very well and even give proper authorities to these small kings so that their praja is happy, that will be a good statesmanship. So there is no fixed thing ki this is a niti. It is circumstantial. It is according to the time, according to the history. So that's what it is.
Right. That's what I'm saying. What is going on currently in current affairs?
Current affairs is extremely complicated. Yeah.
It's extremely complicated. It doesn't, I mean, I see it completely different to what they are saying. The person who can bring together, this is diversion. This is not, what I'm saying is truth at the moment, at present, what's going on in USA.
Yeah, so that's why it's like if you go to the basics, if everybody become, study Bhagavad Gita and follow Krishna Bhagwan, you can have a Ram Rajya. But do you think people are going to do that? But the more people do, the better chance we have.
Yeah.
That's what it. That's how.
Completely.
Yeah,
yes.
that's what it is.
Meena ji, I think basically this paragraph is not saying that all the rulers are people who can assimilate other people,
Correct.
and make them united. It is simply saying that if the conquerors are not capable of converting the conquered or getting themselves converted, the conquest is never complete. So basically, throughout history, I think you have seen conquerors who have tried to rule over people, but they were not, going back and looking back, we cannot say that they are good conquerors. They are good rulers. I think that is, am I right here? I mean, basically, you are talking about current affairs in the United States. Yeah. I don't want to discuss politics here, but basically all I'm saying is that you cannot say that all the rulers are always going to be good. Only the ones who can actually assimilate people and bring them together are the good ones.
Yes, and then when we talk about assimilation, we cannot forget what Bhagwan said in the previous thing. That it has to be righteous, it has to be just, it has to be those. If you don't uphold those values, you are just a tyrant trying to harass. And in the histories, like when Alexander came and he did so much plundering and all that, in the end he didn't get anything. He ruled India, he just went back.
I had something to say.
Yes. We have a history professor here for sure. Go ahead.
Well, baptism, the term baptism used here is, we have to keep in mind, a child, even though born in a Christian family, is baptized, and that's when they are really considered a Christian, belonging to that denomination. It could be Anglican Church, it could be Catholic, it could be, different kinds of Protestants. So here we are using the term baptism. So, a king trying to assimilate his population, newly conquered people, and, they are equating it with baptism.
I think that here the baptism, he didn't use it this way. This is how I'm looking at it.
Okay.
Baptism is like जिसको अपना बना लेना. Okay. So उस terms में use किया baptism, not in like a religious sense, because Swamiji did not believe in like these kind of things. There were a lot of Christian people who were following him too, and when they came and asked him, hey, should I change to Hinduism? And he said, absolutely not. Go become a better Christian. So he's not using the baptism in that sense. अपना बना लेना मतलब वही राजा सक्सेसफुल होता है, वही कॉन्करर होता है जो जिनको उसने कॉन्कर किया उसका भी भला चाहता है वो.
अच्छा,
Right?
मुझे बैप्टिज्म का लगा थोड़ा जैसे यज्ञों को भी हमारे यज्ञ वो होता है कि हिंदुओं में ब्राह्मण जनेऊ की सेरेमनी कि बच्चा ब्राह्मण फैमिली में तो पैदा हुआ पर फिर भी जनेऊ सेरेमनी के बाद ही उसे
those are all symbolic thing. If you go to Bhagavad Gita, their definition of Brahmin and all those things is different than what we think of it as. Brahmin is the one जो ब्रह्म ज्ञान में रहता है.
Right.
So when we are studying Bhagavad Gita, it's very important not to forget what Krishna Bhagwan has said in the other 9 chapters, because that's how you build. And when Swamiji, see, that's why they say language sometimes can become a barrier. in explaining what it is. But I am 100% sure about this. He did not use the baptism word in the way it is used, but he's just talking about that phrase that I said, apna banana kisi ko, ya bolta hai, okay, this is my people now. If you see anywhere in history, like in Mexico, the example that those Spanish people came, they got assimilated with the locals. And then they become Mexican. It was not I'm just talking in surface. I don't know too much in history. But
Good example.
yeah, but they all, but in America, unfortunately, it is still red Indians and white people, and then they have to be now it's getting better and better as time is going by, that they have to be in some kind of a restricted area. They did not assimilate them properly, So that's what it is. But India is a very good example too. And problems har jagah hoti hai. I'm not saying that. But overall, we are all Indians. We know. I'm come from Mumbai. We never look at the difference. My brother, sister, they are Muslim friends. They have all the different Parsi friends. We all were, because we got assimilated. We are first Indians. And then we are anything else. Because that bhavna is there of assimilation. From that perspective, he's talking about.
Okay.
And not from the religious perspective.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other
Yeah,
doubt? It's okay. We have. Go ahead. Who's saying?
We had a lot of these Portuguese conquerors who conquered Goa, and then they actually destroyed our books and wanted to spread Christianity. And same thing happened with the slaves. They were not allowed to practice.
And
that
they
religion.
burned our libraries also.
They
Yeah.
were not good conquerors. Yeah.
The thing is, when something is a foundationally good, it's like Sanatan Dharma. There is one, hopefully we will do that, Upanishad. I think Shankaracharya ji said कि वो पूरा Upanishad कोई destroy कर दे, first verse will still open up what is Brahman. And forget about the whole verse. First 3 letters can tell you who the Brahman is. So there is so much value in those things that कितने भी conquerors आ जाए, कितने भी destroy कर दे, कितना भी book destroy कर दे, somewhere it will flower again. Because it has so much value in it. That's why इतने साल हो गए हमारा क्यों चल रहा है सब कुछ ये वेदांता वगैरह 5000 साल तो हो ही गए हैं जब से वो रिटर्न आया है बाकी कई रिलीजन आए गए ये सब हुआ ये अभी भी चल रहा है वैसे ही स्ट्रांग because there is a value in it that's what I have to say.
Plus,
sorry.
I would say, why did Krishna say I have to come and then clear everything up? So there's good and bad, and he's beyond that. So you cannot say that today is bad, so it's not right, and tomorrow is right, and so it's not good. So Krishna has to come in and then fix it.
See, the thing is that when we say good and bad, the world is always going to be. कोई बोलेगा कि राम राज्य बोलते हैं, लेकिन राम राज्य में भी कितने युद्ध हुए, है कि नहीं?
But God said, I'm beyond Rajasic, Tamasic, and Sattvic. So he's beyond that.
Yeah, and when you said the Bhagwan has to come, he's saying then when the suppose बोलते हैं ना जैसे कि एक तराजू है उसमें बहुत सारा टिप होने लगता है, so when वो अधर्मा की तरफ ज्यादा टिप होने लगता है तब भगवान को आके करना पड़ता है,
right.
वो कभी भी लुप्त तो हो ही नहीं सकता धर्म because it's the आधार of the whole universe.
And the good and bad is all subjective.
True,
In other words,
true.
There is the other side which is to them it's good,
Yeah.
but to the other side it's bad. And actually the right place is Chanakya Niti. If somebody has studied that, and if you haven't, you should, that there are external controls which are laws, and there are internal controls which is the king, whoever is in charge has to follow. If he breaks down the internal controls, then the laws don't matter.
Very good
That's
point.
when the
Yes.
difference comes. So
Yeah.
the difference between, you can say now, Modi and Trump, they are both following Chanakya Niti, and one guy is doing for himself, the other is doing for the country. And it fits so well because everything they follow is using the Chanakya Niti.
Okay, I think
I
that
had one lecture on this Chanakya Niti.
Chanakya Niti is very good, of course, and obviously we don't want this over here to start the political
right.
discussion. So we will move forward. But basically, we have to try to understand the gist of what Krishna Bhagavan is saying, because like Bhagavad Gita is not when they say it's like Sanatan, meaning it applies everybody at all times because it's going to the fundamental values. It's not talking about any historical event and all that. Each person has to meditate upon this on your own and then apply it to yourself and see how we can becoming a better person. It's more for that. All these, if you political, what should I say, subject is your interest, you can use that same principle to make the world a better place. Go get a political office and do something, instead of feeling upset about it and all that. There are so many ways in democracy to get involved and try to make a change, So that's what I would say. But live the principle of what he's saying, then we can make a better world. That's all it is in the end, So with that, let's move forward.
Of things secret, I am silence. Secrecy is maintained in and nourished by silence. When a secret is ventilated in open discussions, it is no longer a secret. Thus, the very essence of a secret lies in silence. So too, it may be noted that the knowledge of the self is described in our textbooks as the secret of the secrets, because it is not generally known. This great secret is also experienced, and the divine experience is maintained and enjoyed, sustained and nourished, as well as fed and grown, only upon the deep inner silence. Of all secret things, indeed, the Lord is the deep and unbroken silence.
I think Swamiji took it to the highest in this verse. In this paragraph that he explained, exactly what we had discussed about, that in chapter 9, when Krishna Bhagavan called this Brahma Gyan as the secret of the secrets, because in the end, that silence is the one who make us understand. And that's why he said it is maintained and enjoyed, sustained and nourished by silence, because inner silence is the one ultimately leads to that Brahma Gyan. That's why he was saying that among all the secrets, I am silence.
The knowledge of the knower am I. The wisdom of the wise is not the wise themselves, and yet it is not anything different from them. The self is not the body, and yet we cannot say that the body is anything different from the self, which is all-pervading. The envelopments of matter and their worlds of experiences are all the aura of glory that shines out around the self. The knowledge in the knower or the wisdom in the wise is the expression of the glory divine through the individual because of a certain pattern maintained among the inner personalities in the individual concerned.
So this is a very confusing whole sentence. This is what I understood from it. When Bhagwan is talking about knowledge of the knower I am, of course, here Swamiji is also telling about that highest knowledge, that highest knowledge is revealed to us when a certain pattern is maintained among inner personality. So he's talking about all the sadhana that we do, purify our mind, and we get clarity, we get purity of the mind. And that's when that glory comes out, that we understand what is body, mind, intellect, what is a relationship with who is God. All those things open up. And then as we studied Vedanta, on one hand, they will start off with the world is different from you, and you are not this, you are not this, and in the end we learn everything is Brahman. But if you directly say everything is Brahman, we won't understand that. So it's taking a path and bringing, and that final knowledge comes into us. That's what he's talking about. Yeah. Meena ji.
Yeah, when that sentence came, the self is not the body, and yet we cannot say that the body is anything different from the self, which is all pervading, which is very true because of the 5 elements. That's the self also,
yes.
And in that self, we are talking about this,
yes.
The self.
Yeah.
So I've thought it's a complete thing. He's not just talking what's inside. We too are. The body itself is.
Right. Also. And the only way we can tell, okay, how do I understand this? That we go to chapter 7. That's why I said we have to understand and remember all those things also. Then Bhagwan said that I have higher self and lower self. My lower self keeps changing, and the higher self sustains the lower self. So this world is Bhagwan only, but it's a changing part of Bhagwan, and it's sustained by the higher. And then it becomes all completely clear. So that's how we have to look at it. Good point that you brought. So there's a last sentence in your book. It is part of 39 or summing up all that. Is that? We can't hear you, Meeraji. You are on mute.
Sorry, I muted myself. Summing up all that he had said so far in a beautiful peroration, the Lord says, and then we move on.